Hello and welcome back to Belgium for the Belgian Grand Prix Round 8, the halfway stage of the 2012 FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship. You see there from the map that we are right down in the southeast corner of the country in the Ardennes, actually. This town famous for the turning point really for Liège-Bastogne-Liège cycle race. And, of course, so much more as well from 1944-45. But the circuit here in absolutely fantastic condition. Just a little bit of machine work on the track. Didn't see any water bowsers out there from our live studio show just a moment ago. And MX2, Jeffrey Hurling's there, number 84, and Max Anstey, they're going to be looking at... Well, Max Anstey looking to be doing something different in the second moto. Had an electrical fault in that first race that kept him out of the points. And, yeah, certainly he'll be looking to replicate what he did a week ago in Portugal when he got third in the second moto. Jeffrey Hurlings, though, who starts from third. That's where he qualified yesterday, just ahead of Tommy Searle. He'll be looking to do the same as he did in moto number 1, try and edge out Tommy Searle for another race victory. But Searle, in his own admission, after the race, in our post-race interview, said that just started to make a couple of mistakes, lost his rhythm a little bit. So hopefully he's gone back, refocused, and he's going to be fired up for a second moto assault here on Jeffrey Hurlings. He's going to need to if he's going to close down that championship gap, because it's now gone out to 27 points between Jeffrey Hurlings and Tommy Searle. Searle there in second position. Just before the riders do get themselves fired back up, Tonus, though, was a man on the charge in moto number 1. He started in 22nd as he came around on the first official lap, which means he was probably a little bit further back. And he eventually came home in 7th position, just behind Tixier and Nichols in what was a very, very good charge. So Arnold Tonus, the Monster Energy Yamaha rider, don't be surprised if he makes a good start to be mixing it with the top guys at the head of the leaderboard. 5-second board goes up. Monster Energy girls move out of the way, and it's going to be Jeffrey Hurlings at the inside here. Shoots out of the start, but who was that looping out there? Didn't quite see. It all happened so fast, but Prix Ratsep. So Prix Ratsep loops out then. But it's the number 17, Boutron, who slides down the inside of 89, Jeremy Van Hoorbeek, who almost had the opportunity there to lead at his home Grand Prix. Tommy Searle, though, on the green Kawasaki, trying to go around the outside of both of them in a circuit that's a lot drier than it was in moto number 1. Hurling's down about 5th place at the moment. Tommy Searle, though, already up front on that Fluid Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki as he goes down the inside. A little bit of work gone on down there, as you can see, but Boutron on the left. And now on the right, as we come into this corner, number 17, the Spaniard. He's right up there in the thick of it on that Diga Racing KTM. Just behind him, though, Van Hoorbeek. Number 89 puts a squeeze on him, going into that far corner. Turn 7 as they drop downhill. Then you got Hurlings there, number 84, in 4th place, looking to, well, he switches across the back of Boutron. Doesn't want to get closed in on him. Goes to the faster option around the outside and makes the pass stick. He's commanded that right away from down that hill. Put himself in the right position on a circuit now that's going to be very, very challenging in a different way for the riders. Loose, hard, slick, stones, stuff these kids aren't used to these days, but at the moment, no problems for him. But throttle control is going to be key here in the second moto. Looks like a bit of work gone on down there into that right-hander, the second of the Monster Energy tabletop jumps, and then they head up the big step up in the centre of the circuit, a couple of corners away from the finish line area. And Tommy Searle finds himself leading here at the end of the first unofficial lap, because they need to go through that point there twice to register the first lap. But it's Tommy Searle, Jeffrey Hurling 2nd, Van Hoorbeek 3rd, Boutron 4, Nichols 5, Tonus 6, Tixier, Coldenhoff, Pocock, Roulant, Dylan Ferrandis, Julian Lieber, as we look on board with Joel Roulant in 10th place. Then we've got Nick Larson, Jens Getterman. But up front, Tommy Searle. Slightly wider lines for him. Hurling, so cutting that gap down by half as he hugged the inside line. A lot drier than it was first moto. But Hurlings looking interested here, wants to go for a 1-1 double moto victory. He looks like he's more fired up in the early stages of the second race than Tommy Searle. Tommy Searle just needs a couple of laps to get settled down here, it appears. Got to be careful not to leave the door open, though. Not as choppy or bumpy as we'd expected this circuit to get, due to, look at the amount of mud that's been scraped off there over the course of the night. Due to the heavy rain that we had, a lot of, well, not too much time on the track for the riders. MX2 or MX1, no qualifying races, of course. So this circuit probably in the condition that it should have been at this stage yesterday. Looking up a gear there, Tommy Searle, third gear around that fast sweeping right-hander, dropping downhill off camber towards the end of that banner. Then jump through the gap into the next 90-degree left, a short straight into a 90-degree right. Then over the tabletop jump. Tommy Searle looking to stabilize things at the front of the field. He's needed that first lap just to get things under control here. Here we see again, Prix just about 7 gates over, straight off the back. And Joel Roulant alongside his teammate we're on board with here, Tommy Searle. But it was Boutron. But Koldenhoff actually just getting pushed wide there. So Koldenhoff in 8th place now in the race, the Nastan Jam Racing KTM rider. His teammate going up the inside there, number 45, who sits there in 6th place. Hurling's the fastest man on track as they come down past pit lane. One official lap completed. Once again, Tommy Searle going around the outside. Hurling's halving the gap. This is where he got past in the first moto. He's going to put the squeeze on him. Neither rider jumping the double jump there. Not brave enough. They were so close there. Tommy Searle makes a mistake. Hurlings runs wide. Takes a look over his shoulder. Really applying the pressure now. The championship leader, number 84, Red Bull Factory KTM. Tommy Searle, though, knows he's got a fight on his hand here in the next 30 minutes, and that's going to seem like an eternity. Although, sometimes in a situation when the racing's close like this, it seems like it was a 10-minute moto come the end of it all. But Tommy Searle at the moment having to weather the storm here, trying to figure out this circuit. Hurling's, though, in the best position, easier to follow than it is to lead. And he's lining up Tommy Searle, gets the pass done, whips it out, the KTM. And Tommy Searle now goes from left to right. And he will return the favour, goes back up the inside of Hurlings, who then switches back. So these two, a real cat and mouse game going on. Again, Tommy Searle taking the long move around the outside. Hurlings, 84 on the left, taking the shorter route. He's going to square Tommy Searle off. Oh, he runs wide. A little bit of machine work gone on there. And you can see just 2 lines there. That really messed up the opportunity for Hurlings. Not a fan of that there myself, but there you go. I think they could have just left that as it was. There were enough opportunities there for Hurlings then to have squared across the back of Tommy Searle, but that's allowed Searle to go through as Hurlings made that mistake, and again coming out of that corner. So it's now 84, Jeffrey Hurlings in 2nd place. It's down to him to try and find a way back onto the rear wheel of the Kawasaki. Van Hoorbeek is 3rd at the moment. He goes through. Arnold Tonis, Monster Energy Yamaha, is 4th. Coming into view, is he at the back of the straight? No, he's already lost a lot of ground. Already 6 seconds down on Van Hoorbeek. Then we got Jose Boutron, then Jake Nichols, Jordi Tixier, Dylan Ferrandis, Joel Roulant, Mel Pocock in 10th place, Glenn Koldenhoff 11th, Julian Lieber 12th, having a good ride actually on the LTR Motorsports racing machine. Julian Lieber, Nikolai Larson, standing construct, Suzuki, he's down in 13th place ahead of Max Anstey, who's on the charge now, up in the 13th place, Garibaldi Esther. As Ferrandis and Roulant, number 34, going at it. Battling over 8th place. Well, I wouldn't have thought that these conditions would be this dry at this time of the afternoon after what we'd experienced the last 48 hours, but they are, and it's still providing a tough challenge for the riders. A different one. It's pretty high speed out there, no room for relaxing. Tommy Searle only 1.5 seconds clear of Jeffrey Hurlings, that battle for the lead at the moment. Roulant goes through on Ferrandis, moves into 8th place on the Fluid Monster Energy Pro Circuit. Kawasaki there, number 34, the Belgian, looking to do well. Needs to push on and even get up to 3rd if he's to have any chance of getting 3rd overall in this Grand Prix. Switched it to the outside. A little bit of loss of traction there for Ferrandis. Managed just to pop it over the front, and then he didn't jump the double jump. Roulant did, and was able just to go around the outside. So Tommy Searle continues to lead. Wow. On the gas, pulled the throttle right the way back, as far as it'd go and some. And he's 1.2 clear, but it's Hurlings, fastest man on track, 150.1 compared to the 150.4. Van Hoorbeek. Will he go after Herlings and go for an overall Grand Prix victory here? Because so far this season, we've seen him being a little bit kind towards his teammate. Hasn't got involved in the battle between these two guys, Tommy Searle and Jeffrey Herlings. But it's a battle of pride for Van Hoorbeek this weekend. At home, Belgian Grand Prix. Third in Moto #1. He could win the Grand Prix here if he finds a way past these two ahead of him. And that's, of course, what he's wishing for. The fans that are hanging over the fences, that's what they're hoping for. Joe Roulant, though, looking to try and find a way past Jordi Tixier for 7th. Oh. Jake Nichols, just the wrong side of Boutron as they battle over 5th place. Tonus about 4 seconds clear of this battle here between the 17 and the 45. Jose Boutron, the Spaniard, and Jake Nichols of Ipswich, Great Britain, England. Just see the flash of green there of Roulant just trying. Oh, look at that, Tixier up on the pegs, the rear wheel, just wanting to break free at every opportunity. Oh, I thought Roulant was going to come together there with Tixier. Not quite managed to find a way through. So we've got a 5-rider battle, starting from Boutron in 5th with Jake Nichols, Tixier, Roulant, and the guy there in the orange and yellow. Orange and red, mate, red and yellow maybe. Of Dylan Ferrandis all the way down to 9th place. How close that was. That was what we saw a moment ago. Tixier, though, unfazed. Kept it in there, used that new bank. Oh, they did clash. That cost Roulant a little bit of time there. Nichols down the inside of Boutron, this time gets the right side, squares him up, pushes the Spaniard wide, and carves a new line for himself. So Jake Nichols now, 45, moves up into 5th position. There he is, 45, front of the pack. Roulant goes down the inside, hard on the brakes. The Spaniard is rattled. The Diga Racing KTM rider there, 17, losing 2 positions in 2 corners. And now finds himself behind Roulant. Roulant's a little bit higher up than 8th now, though. Because there's Jake Nichols in 5th. Roulant's now 6th. Boutron, number 17, now in 7th place. And Tixier down in 8th there, number 911. Good crowd to support this Belgian Grand Prix down in the southeast of the country, in the Wallonie district. Tixier ran the outside of Boutron. And he moves up into 7th now. That long, fast, sweeping right-hander. Ah, Nichols looks over his shoulder, sees who it is breathing down his neck, sees a flash of green. Not too many green Kawasaki's out there. There's a couple of black ones, but he'll know that Tommy Searle's ahead of him. And just by default, Joel Roulant crawling all over the rear wheel. Tries to get out of there early, Roulant, but legging his way through. Can he square off here? Choice of lines, well, he thought about it, but couldn't quite get on the gas. The sun right in the rider's eyes now as they head uphill over the Monster Energy finish line jump. Tommy Searle, the fastest man on track that time, 1:49.9 compared to the 50.0. So nothing in it between our 2 race leaders as they're 2 seconds apart now. Tommy Searle and Jeffrey Herlings. Of course, it stays like this. Tommy Searle wins the overall Grand Prix, and the points come back down to 24 as it was when we arrived here. Joe Roulant, so all over the back of Jake Nichols, who's having a great weekend here in Belgium as he tries to go through on 5th. We're on board with Joe Roulant, the Fluid Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider, the Belgian riding in his home Grand Prix this weekend, albeit he's slightly further north of here. Jake Nichols, the man ahead of him, the Nastan GM Racing KTM rider, doing his best to fend off that challenge. They're about 8 seconds down on Arno Tonus, the Monster Energy Yamaha rider, who's in 4th position, having quite a lonely ride at the moment because he's also 10 seconds down on Van Hoorbeek, who's 3rd. But this is a battle for the lead here. That's also the gap. Tommy Searle, 100. And Jeffrey Herlings, the 84, in 2nd. over that step up into the long sweeping right-hander through the wooded part of the circuit. Roulant's hanging it out round the outside, keeps it up on the pegs, he's found a way through on Jake Nichols. Nichols, though, looks to square it back, but there's no room there. And Roulant's goes through into 5th. Quick pull of the tear off as well. At the earliest opportunity, mid-air over that tabletop jump, as he works his way back up towards the top end of the circuit. And Roulant's now will find himself in 5th place. Tommy Searle, though, already down in turn 3. Looking good at the moment. Toner's still 4th, Roulant's 5th now, Nichols 6th, Tixier 7th, Ferrandis 8th, Boutron 9th, Koldenhoff still 10th, Lieber up to 11th on the LRT Motorsports KTM. Lives pretty close to here, actually. Family business based close to the Belgian-Luxembourg border. Just a building firm. And then we've got Mel Pocock in 12th, Nick Larson 13th, Roman Febvre 14th, Kevin Fors, Valentin Guillot, Alex Lupino, Jens Getterman. So Lupino picking off a few places. He was outside the points on the opening lap, now up in 17th on the Ritchie Racing Husqvarna. Then we've got Getterman on the standing construct Suzuki. Petr Petrov, the Rockstar Energy Suzuki World MX2 Europe rider. Sorry, Max Anstey down in 20th place at the moment. So where is Harry Koulas? Harry Koulas, 21st for him at the moment. But there's Tommy Searle, continues to lead. 1.5 seconds as he came around last time around. We're getting ready to go to pit lane with Amy. She's got Jan Postema, who's behind the scenes at the Thai Grand Prix, which we heard earlier. He was in here with me in MX2 Race 2. It's the first Grand Prix of 2013.
Joining me in the pit lane, Jan Postema, GP of Thailand organizer. How are things going out there now?
Yeah, really good. We're really happy it's going to be the first one next year. Being here, looking, organizing stuff, with especially Greg coming over to Thailand next week, I think it's going to be great. And it looks like we have an awesome thing, and the track is going to be brilliant for sure.
We'll look forward to that. Thank you very much. Bye.
Yeah, Jan came in and explained a little bit more. Obviously, Roulant's there coming over the line, just almost losing the front end through there. But yeah, the Thai Grand Prix, first round of the championship next year. Date still yet to be set, though. In terms of the calendar, hasn't been released yet. But you would assume that it would either be towards the end of March or early April. And that would be a very hot, sticky Grand Prix. There, that's the front end just going there on Roulant. And a couple of those. That was elsewhere on the circuit. What's the gap between our top two? Tommy Searle, actually, just looking at that, almost 3 seconds. Got his head down, really got himself focused in his second moto. Not really giving Jeffrey Hurlings much of a look in at the moment. That'll be good in terms of the overall Grand Prix victory, but Hurlings will know that there'll be no points gained or lost if it were to stay there. Meanwhile, further down, there's Mel Pocock, 119, all over the back of Julian Lieber now. They are battling over 11th position, so the diminutive number 33, LRT Motorsports, a truly privateer team for these guys, Julian Lieber. He's mixing it with some of the good riders, the best riders of MX2. Mel Pocock, though, on the charge. Going to square him off through this next left as they go up the step up, but Lieber read it well. Lieber 23rd in the championship at the moment. Only scored a couple of points in the first moto earlier on in the day, but doing a good job. Pocock just runs him down the outside. And Pocock goes through, so Mel Pocock now into 11th place. Lieber now in 12th. And who's he got behind him? Nick Larson, Roman Febvre, Valentin Guillot, Kevin Fors. There is Nick Larson, 249, standing construct Suzuki. The closest he'll get to a home Grand Prix will be in 2 weeks' time when we go to Uddevalla in Sweden. Because Larsen from Denmark, one of the Scandinavian countries, finds a way down the inside, controls it. Lieber not backing out though. Side by side over that triple jump, and both of them keeping it pinned. But the bravest there was Nick Larsen. Runs wide. Lieber fights back. So the advantage in jumping the double, not always paying off, because the option then is to hard brake on the landing and then you end up running wide. Roman Febvre joining the action as well, the 461. There, just with the red numbers on his back, Roman Febvre, the Bodo Schmidt KTM rider. Lonely ride though for Tonus. Currently there in 4th position. Monster Energy Yamaha hasn't taken too long to get himself back up the pace, considering his first Grand Prix was just 3 weeks ago in France. First Grand Prix of the season, that is, after missing the first 5 through injury. But Tommy Searle now 3.6 seconds clear at the head of the field. Van Hoorbeek now in 3rd place, 7 seconds away from Herlings. Tonus 10 seconds further back, but he's got 7 seconds on Joel Roulans. Then we've got Jake Nichols in 6th. Tixier is still 7th. Then Ferrandis 8th. Boutron, will wait for him to come over the line in 9th, but no sign now he comes through. And then Glenn Koldenhoff, who we saw on board getting a good run to the first corner, but then just running wide, comes through in 10th in the Stan JM Racing KTM rider. Pocock 11th, and he's only 4 seconds down on Koldenhoff. And Koldenhoff was quicker that time around, though. So Pocock going to have to dig deep in the next 15 minutes plus 2 to find a way back into the top 10. Julian Lieber, though, hands full at the moment with Roman Febvre, Nick Larsen and Lupino. In fact, Larsen's gone back. He's been passed by Roman Febvre in the last half a lap. So Nick Larsen then. Jeremy Sewer, the side panel hanging off the number 91 Suzuki. Well, he's definitely been caught in a battle here. No front number plate, no side panel. Tommy Searle comes over the line, completes lap 10 with a time of 1:51.829. Herlings comes through with a 1:52.8, so that gap now 4.7 seconds. So Tommy Searle in control here at the moment, and that's what 4.7 seconds look like. The whole of the pit lane area. And this is following a similar pattern. Herlings will have a good first race. Tommy Searle will have a good second race. Herlings not known for his hard pack riding techniques, but to be world champion, you have to master all of them. And well, if you can go 1-2, 2-1 with your rival, and you don't make or lose points, and you have a 24-point advantage, then you're not going to mind too much. And you can play it down afterwards, say, yeah, hard pack is not my favourite conditions and all the rest of it, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, he put up a good fight in Moto number 1 in the early part of second race as he took the challenge to Tommy Searle, but that gap now almost 5 seconds. Here's Jake Nichols and Jordi Tixier. They're fighting over 6th position. The 45, Jake Nichols, just taking a look over his shoulder to see where the young Frenchman is. Former 125 European champion. And he's right there, breathing down his neck. Nichols almost makes a mistake coming through that left-hander. Tixier tries to position himself and does so. Tries to put the squeeze and give Nichols a bit of a love tap going through that right-hander. But Jake Nichols far too cute for that. Not going to give way to that kind of tactic. But his radar is definitely on now, Nichols. He knows that Tixier's there, ready to pounce. Ferrandis about 3 seconds off the back of these guys in 8th place, then Boutron, then Koldenhoff. So Koldenhoff 10, 4 seconds clear of Mel Pocock. Roman Febvre 12th, pushing Julian Lieber as he looks to go after 11th. Oh, looks to have to go after 12th, sorry. Back end dancing around here, but look at that. Nichols losing out once again, the same place he did to Roulans, but fights back immediately. and gives 911. Tixier no room for manoeuvre as they come over the single on the exit there, that left-hander. Tixier then has to figure out another way to find a way past number 45, Jake Nichols, who's still hanging on bravely for that 6th position. That number 45 there, the lead bike in this shot. Over the Monster Energy finish line jump they go. In terms of how far away they are from the leader, 49 seconds. Runs wide though, Jake Nichols. Both sets of mechanics hanging over the fencing here. Nichols having to ride defensive. If he goes wide, he leaves the door open. If he goes too tight, Tixier can swing in and square him off at the first available opportunity. Once again, Nichols jumps long on the double. Tixier's tight in the inside. Looks to try and get the job done around the outside here this time. Nichols almost losing the front into that tight right. Gets his way through the waves though, no problems for him. As he reaches turn 6, a long off-cambered left. Can't see it from that angle, but it is. So two of the future stars of MX2, the bright stars, really going at it here. More top 5, top 6 finishes for these two. Will keep them and their championship right on track. They'll all have their own goals. Nichols is 7th in the championship on 191, tied with Max Anstey, who will go by. Because Anstey down in 19th at the moment, he'll only pick up 2 points. Jake Nichols in 6th place. Of course, he'll pick up 15 points. So he'll move clear of Max Anstey, his fellow Brit. Tixier, on the other hand, 202 for him. 20 points down on Joel Roulance, who will extend his gap over the number 911, Jordi Tixier. Of course, Anstey behind him in the championship chase, so he'll gain ground on Max Anstey. As they come through the final corner, Jake Nichols lets, what time has he got? 156.8, 57.8 for Tixier. So a good lap that for Jake Nichols. Has given himself a little bit of breathing space. Looks to have fended off the challenge for now, at least, from Jordi Tixier. He's going to have to dig deep, regroup, and see if he can do anything about closing down Jake Nichols and moving by into 6th place. Joel Roulance, meanwhile, is about 10 seconds, 12 seconds clear of those, but he's only 3 seconds down on Arnold Tonus. So as Tommy Searle leads Jeffrey Hurlings and Jeremy Van Hoorbeek, the battle is going to be on soon for Tonus and 4th. Tommy Searle then, 5.6 seconds clear. A couple of corners to go before he completes lap 13. We're going down to pit lane. Here's Amy.
Joining me in the pit lane, Steve Guttridge of Kawasaki Motors Europe. We're watching another really strong performance from Tommy. He's maintaining that race lead, and we've seen him in tight battles all of this race with Jeffrey. You must be pretty happy how he's performing now. Yeah,
he's keeping his lines tight at this race. First race, he was a little bit tense at the beginning. He's relaxed, he's making good lap times. I think it's going to be a really good race.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, and Tommy Searle and Steve Guttridge go way, way back to when Steve Guttridge was working at Kawasaki Motors UK down in Bourne End, Buckinghamshire. Tommy Searle was an 85 Team Green rider, and so he's kept a very, very close eye on his career, has Steve Guttridge, over the years. And despite the couple of 3 years that he had at KTM in Europe and in the US, he came back, found himself back on a Kawasaki. Steve Guttridge still there, although, you know, overall sort of racing manager really for Kawasaki, although it says planning manager there, but he's looks after Superbike and Motocross as well. So it's not just another rider on Kawasaki getting a result here for Tommy Searle. It's a relationship that goes back certainly 10 years or more. Julian Liebert, 33. He's had a good time inside the top 10, but dropping slowly back now into the clutches of Alessandro Lupino. Goes through on the inside pretty good as well. Anstey, another DNF for him. Look at that. So, wow. Bad day at the office for Gary Boldy, Honda Esther. this weekend. Tonkov already injured anyway, but Max Anstey spoke to him during our live show on MX Live TV, and he was saying that the mechanics have obviously sorted out the problem. It was an electronic glitch. Oh, Roman Febvre almost off the side of the bike, caught his foot on a rut, and Roman Febvre, who's down in 14th place at the moment, the defending, or the current European MX2 champion, obviously not defending that title this year, coming into MX2 instead on the Bodo Schmidt Motorsport KTM. Found himself off the top of the bike there. It was only forward momentum and gravity kept him upright there. Be interesting to read Tina Snell's press release on something like that. The guy who covers for him. Yeah, disappointed Max Anstey there. Walks away disconsolately. All that hard work for nothing. And sad way to end the Grand Prix of Belgium for Max Anstey. Was looking forward to it, like riding the track here. And, well, Max Anstey, in terms of the championship, how will that change things? Well, he's on 191. Obviously, Jordi Tixier, who is down in 7th at the moment, who goes through on Jake Nichols hard as well. Nichols looking down at his mechanic, so at his bike, then across at his mechanic. Helplessly there. But Jake Nichols, look how close that was for Tixier, almost on the top of the tough block. That would have been curtains for him. Could have demolished it though. But Jake Nichols now looking nervously over his shoulder. This was Jordi Tixier putting the squeeze on Jake Nichols going through turn 1 just a few seconds ago. And that has put Tixier back in the driving seat into 6th place. Jake Nichols looking down his gear lever. I wonder if he's clobbered a deep rut out there and bent the gear lever. Just after that, Tixier then over the first triple jump coming out of turn 2. Almost landed on a tough block on the downside. So almost handed that position right back to Jake Nichols, but obviously not looking too happy there at the moment. Jake Nichols now in 7th position. He took a long look over his shoulder as well, just after that, to see where the next rider was. Of course, that's Dylan Ferrandis. He's only 5 seconds further back. This is 4th place, Tonus and Roulance. So Roulance in the last couple of laps has found a way onto the rear wheel of the Monster Energy Yamaha. And as they come out of the final turn over the finish line jump, they're going to be split here by a back marker. Number 12, Samuele Bernardini. Sorry, Zecchina. Simone Zecchina. Oh, Roulance again losing the front end. Going after Tonus though. Takes the high line, takes the double, runs wide. How many times have we seen that? Tonus commands the inside, goes from the left to the right to defend the inside through here, but Roulance is going to get the slingshot. He'll hang off the back through the waves, but doesn't get the drive like Tonus does. Dropping down into turn 6, and look at that, puts a squeeze on him, instantly goes for the inside. Realised he'd got more than a bike length ahead of the Kawasaki rider who we were on board with there. And just managing to hold on to that 4th position. He's got 3.5 minutes plus 2. 2 laps, of course. It's going to be a busy few minutes for the Swiss, Arnold Tonus, who since his return back from injury found himself in 22nd place, 7th in Moto number 1. That's been his best finish all year, actually. 7th in Moto 1 in Portugal, 7th in Moto 1 in France, when he was holding 3rd, actually, before he got dumped, or 2nd, before he got dumped to the ground by Hurlings, of course. But he's now got his self full of Joel Roulance as they work their way towards the end of lap 16. Searle continues to lead, 5.2 seconds clear of Hurlings. Van Horbig 23 seconds further back in 3rd. That'll get him on the podium in 3rd position overall. Then we've got Tonus here and Joel Roulance second and a half or so apart between these two guys. So we've got Roulansen in fifth. That was him there, the flash of green on the Kawasaki. But this is our race leader, Tommy Searle, Freed Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider. Having to negotiate back markers now in the closing stages of the race. Fortunately for him, Jeffrey Hurling's just coming through here. Look, that looks like more than 5 seconds actually. So Jeffrey Hurling's then quite possibly finding himself settling for that second place, 22 points. That'll bring the points gap back down to 24 as we head to Sweden, which is of course the next round, round 9 in 2 weeks' time at the Uddevalla circuit. Similar ground to this actually. A little bit further back, Tixier has pulled clear, 5 seconds. Oh, there's Zakina, JTech Yamaha rider. Just saw him a moment ago move over for the leaders, but his race coming to an end. So Roulant still going after Arnold Tonus. Looks like he might be running out of time here, although the camera angle there doesn't necessarily give a true reflection as to how close or how far, but Roulant definitely looks to be fighting that front end. On more than one occasion, that's drifted away from him at vital moments in this race. But Tonus, who looked maybe to have relaxed a little bit, has got himself back on the pace, realised the danger from Roulant was closing in, and he's decided to go back after Jeremy Van Hoorbeek, who's here in third place. Not going to close him down though, but will keep him on track for fourth place, which will be his best finish of the season since the French Grand Prix, round 6, 3 weeks ago. Van Hoorbeek, he'll be pleased with his performance this weekend, although he definitely looked interested in going after Searle and Hurling's in the early stage. A little bit stretched out there. Heavy landing for him as he comes over that triple. Not easy to get over there. Certainly this time in the afternoon when there's a few accelerating bumps on the face and a few ruts as well, but did well just to suck it up on the landing. Watch this. Oh, off the bike. Look at that. Roulant. It's coming into the final corner. Runs wide there. Very lucky to keep that just about upright. There have been a few nervous faces in the crowd there. So was that the moment then that Joel Roulant found himself losing 3.5 seconds and a possible chance of going after Tonus for fourth place? Here's Ferrandis and Nichols. So Nichols, whatever problem he had, remember a couple laps ago he was looking down at the gear shift. Maybe he got it bent in a deep rut, something like that, but that's allowed Dylan Ferrandis to close on in, takes a look over his shoulder. Nichols has no room to reply and loses another position. Doesn't stop him jumping the double jump though. Going back after the young French kid. So Dylan Ferrandis moves ahead of Nichols, goes into 7th place. And Nichols' lap time's really dropping off now. 2 minutes, 0.0 compared to the 54 of Tommy Searle, the 57s of Hurlings and Van Hoorbeek, 55 of Tonus, who's definitely got a bit of a turn of speed on. And he's actually the second fastest rider on the track that time around, Arnold Tonus. Dylan Ferrandis, disappointed not to have competed in his home Grand Prix in France a couple of weeks ago with a wrist injury, but bouncing back the last couple of weeks with a good turn of results and just finding a way past the unfortunate Jake Nichols there, who looks to have a gear shift problem in the closing stage of the race. Nichols was running 6th a moment ago until Tixier went through. Here's Coldenhoff, number 25, just down in 11th place at the moment, going after that guy. Alessandro Lupino, the Ritchie Racing Husqvarna factory rider. These two not making the best starts this weekend. So pretty much picking up the scraps, the lower end of the top 10. Boutron, though, he had a good start. Finds himself down in 9th at the moment. Diga Racing KTM, remember he was on the podium in Brazil. His first ever MX2 podium with a 2nd and 3rd overall. 2nd in the race, 3rd overall, that means. Dylan Ferrandis, under the watchful eye of former world champion Jackie Vimon. Had a good qualifying time yesterday in the deep, muddy conditions, so obviously favoured his chances, but then the sun came out. Finds himself sitting 7th in the second moto at the moment. First race, Dylan Ferrandis brought it home in... well, did he bring it home, actually, Ferrandis? Didn't score, actually, down in 30th place, so He was up there, certainly, was Ferrandis. As high as 7th at one point before he went missing. But Tommy Searle, though, final lap for him. Monster Energy, Pro Circuit, Florine, Kawasaki rider. Over the triple, just takes a look ahead of him, see if there's any back markers ahead on this double jump. 18 meters or so apart, that one. But didn't make the same mistake he made in Moto number 1, and that was to allow Hurlings through. Hurlings passed him on that double jump on the very first lap in Moto number 1. And while he tried for the first 3 or 4 laps, Hurlings eventually just lost the ground, lost the toe, maybe lost a little bit of rhythm as well, and he's now 12 seconds down on Tommy Searle. So Searle on his way to winning Moto number 2 and the overall Grand Prix here in Belgium. There is Hurlings, 84, Red Bull KTM factory rider. Starting to lap up to Roman Febvre, the 461, and Julian Lieber, they're 15th and 16th. That's those two just going through now. There is Hurlings. Just behind him, Petar Petrov, the Bulgarian, already been lapped down in 14th. Rockstar Energy Suzuki Europe MX2 rider. Hasn't looked comfortable all weekend, Petrov, around here. But Tommy Searle certainly has turned it around in the second moto. And just a couple of corners to go before he sees a checkered flag. Takes a small look over his shoulder to see where Hurlings is, but he's more than 12 seconds down, and Tommy Searle will take his 6th race win of 2012, and he wins the Belgian Grand Prix. So a great performance then for the Brit. Another race win, another Grand Prix victory. Hurlings, no reply in the second race, and he's going to have to come home second in the race, second overall for the Grand Prix, and he'll be a little bit deflated after that. The only good thing to come out of it, of course, he knows that that gap is still 24 points, as it was when they arrived here.
Congratulations for winning the GP of Belgium. How was it?
That was good. Again, me and Jeffrey got away the first race. I made a mistake, but that time we race, you know, we don't normally race, one gets away, so I enjoyed that. Like, I'm fit and strong, so at the end I knew I had it in the bag.
Well done. We'll see you on the podium in just a second.
Yeah, and like so many times this year, Tommy Searle proving the second moto and his fitness. His trainer at home, Kurt Gibbons, who doesn't only look after Tommy Searle, looks after a few other guys as well, like Leon Haslam in Superbike, Elliot Banks-Brown as well, who's not here, the HM Plant KTM UK rider, but Tommy Searle winning through in the end. A great start, didn't make the same mistake he made in Moto number 1. He wins the second race from Jeffrey Hurlings, with Van Herbeek third, Tonus 4th, Roulant's 5th, with Tixier, Ferrandis, Nichols, Boutron and Lapino down in 10th. Tommy Searle lights the candles on the Monster Energy finish line jump as he takes victory in Moto number 2, and with it the overall Grand Prix in Belgium. And from his point of view, the championship lead that was 27 points at the start of the race is back to 24, which means it's less than the Moto, which is pretty important actually. Van Herbeek, though, good consistent performance from him. 3rd overall this weekend with two solid third place finishes, and he'll be more than pleased with that, you would have to think, because in the championship it's really all about Tommy Searle, Jeffrey Hurlings, whichever way round you want to place them. But 3rd is as good as it's going to get, although it's not that far away. Get him on the right track in the right conditions at the right time. Van Herbeek could be challenging for an overall victory at some time this season. Good slow-mo work there from our camera guys. Lots of that going on this weekend. So Tommy Searle wins Moto number 2 and the Belgian Grand Prix here at Bastogne. The first time we're here, brand new circuit, of course, right down deep in the southeast of this tiny little country. Landlocked country, I should say, because bordered with Luxembourg and France. And yeah, it's the first time we've been down here in quite a few years. Namur just up the road, that very, very famous circuit, the Citadel, about 45 minutes away. Used to seeing quite a few battles there, and actually the ground here not too different to the surface there. Of course, not talking the tarmac sections, but the actual dirt, the stones, the nature of the ground, the hard pack as well. So we had the Evo race earlier on in the day, all the pre-1990 two-stroke machines, but they would have loved going around here at the right time, of course. But here's our official result then for Moto number 2. Tommy Searle wins it in the end, 13 seconds from Jeffrey Hurlings. Van Hoorbeek was third from Arnold Tonis, Joel Roulants, Jordi Tixier, Dylan Ferrandis, and Jake Nichols losing a couple places in the final few laps. Alex Lupino got himself inside the top 10 with 9th ahead of Jose Boutron, and then it was Glenn Coldenhoff, Mel Pocock, Nick Larson, Petr Petrov, Julian Lieber, Roman Fabra, Harry Kulas, 17th for him, then Valentin Guillot, Jeremy Stewart, and Prit Ratsep. So Ratsep, who looped out on the start, he managed to get himself 1 championship point. No points, though, for Max Anstey, the second Moto. So whatever the problems were in Moto number 1, they either didn't rectify them or there was something else that kept Max Anstey out of the race in Moto number 2. Overall Grand Prix belongs to Tommy Searle. He wins 47 points apiece, though, with him and Hurlings, but second race result, winning it out for the Brit on the Kawasaki. Van Hoorbeek third at his home Grand Prix, ahead of Roulants, Tonis, Tixier, and the rest. Mel Pocock, he'll be pleased with 10th overall. Roman Fabra picking up some decent points, 15 this weekend. And our final point scorer, Andrea Chervelin. And I'm guessing that was from Moto number 1. Championship, though, still belongs to number 84, Red Bull KTM Factory Racing, Jeffrey Hurlings. But look at that, still 24 points. Van Hoorbeek losing a little bit more ground in third, and then Roulant still fourth, Tixier still fifth. Nichols climbs ahead of Anstey, who had those 2 DNFs this weekend. But it's been great action here in MX2 all weekend long. And I'm sure we'll be back here. The organisers in Bastogne have done a great job in getting this race turned around. When we had the conditions of Friday and Saturday, they worked through the night, finished at 3 or 4 o'clock this morning. And, well, we've had some fantastic racing, perfect circuit, and a win for Tommy Searle. Manufacturer's chase. How tight are we in that? Well, KTM just pulling away from Kawasaki, and it really is about those 2. Yamaha third with Honda, Suzuki, Husqvarna, and TM. Just 10 points on the board for them. And just across the way from the Monster Energy station is the podium, and there you see the 3 bikes lined up. Jeremy Van Hoorbeek, third overall this weekend, 2 third-place finishes for him, the Red Bull KTM Factory rider, number 89. His teammate, second overall this weekend, Jeffrey Hurlings. He won the first race convincingly, but had to settle for second in the second Moto. These 2 great friends, of course, but Tommy Searle, though, the Floride Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider, takes a second and a first and wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Harry Nolte, team manager. He would have been to more than his fair share of Belgian Grand Prix there, and for all of your hard-earned efforts, guys, your trophy for the weekend. What they don't tell us, though, is how big the bonus check will be for making the podium. Jeffrey Hurlings just checking, making sure that that was the second place trophy has just been offered. But Tommy Searle, though, wins it here in Bastogne. It's a slightly bigger trophy. I'm just wondering whether they're of the local area in some way, shape or form. Maybe ceramic or something else that's meaningful to this area, which the riders therefore, you know, should cherish. But they won't think about that right now. I remember getting a piece of ceramic when I won the French Grand Prix back in 1991, and then I read underneath it, and it was offered by the President of the French Republic. At that point was President Mitterrand, so doesn't quite take pride of place. It's away in storage. Harry Nolte taking the manufacturer's plate, but Dr. Wolfgang Schrub, the director of the FIM CMS, hands the red plate to Jeffrey Hurlings. He continues to lead here after 8 rounds of the championship. So Tommy Searle then wins the Grand Prix. Here's the British national anthem. Tommy Searle wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Kawasaki win it though. Here's a national anthem for Japan. Winning manufacturer this weekend. So Tommy Searle wins the Belgian Grand Prix with a 2 and a 1, a second and a first scorecard ahead of Jeffrey Hurlings, who was first and second. Jeremy Van Hoornbeek third overall at his home Grand Prix with 2 third-place finishes. But crucially, Tommy Searle winning his 3rd Grand Prix of the season. Jeffrey Hurlings, crucial for him, he still stays 24 points clear as we go to round 9 in Sweden in 2 weeks' time. Here's what happened in race 2. Prits found himself looping out and getting back to 20th by the close of the race, but Tommy Searle found himself right at the front of the field early on, and Jeffrey Hurlings went with him. And for a start, it looked like Hurlings would make a couple of passes here and there. He actually did find a way through on the first or second lap. Meanwhile, Jake Nichols was in a battle for 6th position with Jose Boutron. He'd got Joe Roulants and Dylan Ferrandis and Jordi Tixier in there as well. Julian Lieber, LRT privateer, right at there, number 33, found himself in a bit of a battle. He eventually came home in 15th place. This was the moment when Tixier went through on Jake Nichols, went through into 6th place. Jake Nichols at that point dropped to 7th, looked to the cross helplessly at the mechanics, so maybe a bent gear shift there. Tommy Searle, though, after the first 10 or 15 minutes, weathered the storm and put a decent amount of time between him and this guy here, number 84, Jeffrey Hurlings, and it was Searle who went on to win Moto number 2 and the overall Grand Prix. We're getting ready to go to speak with Tommy Searle. He's down by the podium area with Amy. I'm sure the Brit is happy with another Grand Prix victory and, more importantly, a race win. Here he is. Here's with Amy.
Tommy, we watched such a tight race there between you and Jeffrey, but in the end, you took the race lead.
Yeah, it was a good race for me. I got a good start again, and the first motor also, so really happy for the team. And we struggled a bit with the bike yesterday, and today it was perfect, so I'm really happy about that. And it was nice to actually race with Jeffrey. You know, he passed me at one point. I passed him back, but I felt good the whole way through the race, so I knew I had it in the bag once. So I just knew the lappers was going to be playing to it a little bit, and I pushed hard through those and made sure I made a little gap, and then that was the race. So I'm really happy with today. Just want to say happy Father's Day to my dad as well. So
there we have it. Tommy wins the GP of Belgium.
Seem to recall Tommy Searle winning both motos at Saint-Jean d'Angely in 2008. That was also on Father's Day. So obviously a good day for Tommy Searle to go racing. Quinton, his father, is here this weekend, so I'm sure Tommy will have a glass of sparkling water while his dad might have a beer or two later on. But it looked like he maybe took a rock on the side of the face there over the course of the weekend, Tommy Searle, unless it was just a bit of dirt. But if that's a rock that's hit him in the face, that'll be a nice shiner in the morning. But 24 points the gap between him and Hurlings. as we pass the halfway stage in the 2012 FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship. A second and a first, the overall Grand Prix victory for him. But Aim is down waiting to speak with Jeffrey Hurlings. Here he is, second overall this weekend.
Jeffrey, well done. You and Tommy stormed into the lead in that second moto.
Yeah, we both had a good start. I think Tommy had a all-shot. I came from 5th to 2nd in less than a lap, and I managed to pass him with about 20 minutes to go, but he directly passed me back, and since then I didn't have anything for him. He just pulled away, and he was stronger on the second moto, and no, when he's faster you can say the truth, and that was second moto, and I think that I had that advantage in the first moto. So didn't win anything, didn't lose anything. We're halfway the season now, 24 points in the lead, so trying to put the hammer down next week in Sweden. You know, I really like that track, it suits me good. So, but got to give it up to Red Bull KTM race team. Those guys just work so hard for me. So, thank you all you guys, and yeah, see you in 2 weeks.
Jeffrey Hurlings keeps that championship lead.
Yeah, Sweden, Uddevalla, 2 weeks' time. Can't wait. Similar conditions to here in terms of the hard, slick, stony surface, pretty loose. Both riders showing that they're more than up for the challenge and more than capable of turning in victories in such conditions. Not too many more sand tracks on the calendar for Jeffrey Hurlings, of course. After Sweden, 2 weeks after that, we've got Latvia. That's a little bit sandy. And, of course, Lierop down towards the end of the year as well in September. But, of course, plenty of racing to go before that. These guys will turn their attentions to Sweden 2 weeks' time. They'll debrief with their teams tonight. They'll look forward to tomorrow when they can think about that. Van Hoorbeek was third. Here he is with Amy.
Jeremy, another podium finish there for you. Consistent racing is what we're seeing, really.
Yeah, you know, I feel good, you know, top 3 seems to be my place, you know, all year now. I feel really good. I wish I could do more at my home GP, but it's the way it is, 2 times 3. The pace was really high, second moto in the beginning, and I had to lose after 10 minutes. And yeah, you know, you cannot lose the guys because otherwise they just pull away. And but I'm so pumped. I'm happy. The bike was awesome again, and need to give it again up to my team, Red Bull Factory KTM. And yeah, see you in 2 weeks.
We'll see you in Sweden.
Happy to be on the podium in his home Grand Prix, but third overall for him. He might have time to get that ankle looked at as well before then. But this weekend, though, Tommy Searle, Jeffrey Hurlings, Jeremy Van Hoorbeek, that was your podium here in Belgium. So a great way to round out the MX2 then here in Belgium. The fans get ready for MX1 Race 2, and of course we'll bring you all of that completely live as always. But for Tommy Searle though and Jeffrey Hurlings, they're pretty much locked at the top of the championship standings, 24 points apiece. And well, it's who breaks first, and Sweden is just 2 weeks away, of course. It'll be an interesting battle to see what goes on with those guys. We'll be back in a few moments' time with MX1 Race 2. Don't go away.
Gauthier Polla werd tweede. Dissa derde. Kevin Strijvers. Mooi. Plaats is toch zelf. Lange achtervolging vijfde. Boog 6. Plaats 7. Poestel 8. Gaan we Leeuw 9. Ken de Dijk. Max Armstrong 10e. 11e Max Caro. 12 Was. 13 Barragan. 14 Souberas. 15 op Calvas, 16 John Simpson, 17 Potisek, 18 Opbijn, 19 Leonsen en het laatste WK-puntje voor Marc de Reuver.
On vous rappelle ce qui s'est passé dans la première manche. MX1, puisque c'est bien de ça dont il va s'agir maintenant. Deuxième